Dragons. 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 Ugh! Abomination. You've seen movies about dragons that bring fiery destruction, warm friendship, and even sketchy rides where you suspect the beast must be high on dragonweed because he doesn't know where he's going.
Do you know where they are?
I have no idea.
And he's laughing inappropriately when asked direct questions. That movie had some weird junk, man.
And
Today we focus on How to Train Your Dragon, whose main creature, Toothless, has almost never been seen by his enemies, shoots from far away, and makes a quick getaway after taking out his targets. So, basically a sniper, when you think about it. But we love him despite his war record, because he looks adorable.
Oh, so cute.
Plot holes. Why is Stoic the only Viking in this film with a recognizable Norse accent? And as such, why does his son Hiccup have an American accent? Reminds me of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, 1991, where the main character of a British story had a distinctly American accent.
Unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
Ah, the fire brigade. Burke's cool kids.
The cool kids were the fire brigade, huh? If they were so cool, why were they shown to be incompetent and goofy for the rest of the film? Except for Astrid, of course. Hiccup is told to give up on his catapult device, but a second later, the village defends itself with a trebuchet? A little bit hypocritical there, Gobber. Also, the Vikings didn't use trebuchets. These complex machines didn't come into use until about 2 to 3 centuries later, after the height of the Viking culture. The parents of some of these Vikings should be ashamed of themselves. Phlegma? Ew. Recha? Fungi? Loogie? Snotlout? Rough Nut and Tough Nut? Now, why would parents name their children something like that when there were better names, like Stoic, for example? For those curious types, actual Viking names were ones like Eric, Olaf, Ivar, or Freydis, Ingrid, or Brynhild. The only real Viking name I heard in this movie was Astrid, which, by the way, happens to mean beautiful or beloved. This tiny knife will totally be able to kill a dragon. And how would these kids be any better suited to dragon fighting than Hiccup? Skinny, fluffy, fluffier, and tiny. The only good fighter they had was Astrid. Astrid kinda reminds me of another warrior princess.
Xena, hello.
Diverse Vikings? Seems far-fetched at first, but while most Vikings were of Scandinavian origin, blonde-haired and blue-eyed, Viking society was not racially or ethnically uniform. Through exploration, trade, warfare, and cultural exchange, they encountered and sometimes integrated people of non-European ancestry into their communities. So, I suppose this movie can get away with the idea of bringing together Vikings from various parts of the world, I guess. That would explain the different accents at least, but it still doesn't excuse Hiccup for having a different accent entirely to his dad's.
Guilty!
Okay, hold the phone. As I was preparing this segment, I just realized something more. This story is supposed to be focused on Vikings. Vikings are predominantly Scandinavian in heritage. Even though this story does include people from a lot of different lands, they completely deleted the predominant group that should be represented in a Viking story. The Scandinavians were largely comprised of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, but I defy you to find even one character in this movie that matches that description. Fish legs can rattle off power levels for each dragon? Whose scale is he going off? The Vikings don't like Hiccup to do anything more techy than making swords and shields, yet this kid somehow learned nerdy specs on all the monsters before they even got to look at the book of dragon lore?
I don't like being outdoors, Smithers. For one thing, there are too many fat children.
Reading Norse runes, but somehow it translates into English. That sign can't stop me because I can't read. They keep giving time to this Gothi character, which makes you expect her to play an important part in the story, but she never did anything of significance. Stoic asked her if they'd be able to find the dragon nest. She says yes. Then, she keeps score over the course of the trials. She announces the winner of the trials. And that's about it. They give her a bunch of moments in the film, but she literally never says anything and doesn't impact the course of the story at all. Also, check out her hands. The only other characters I've seen that had blackened fingers like this were Agatha and Wanda. Does this mean this Gothi priestess practices dark magic? Probably. Hiccup's hair. It obviously had a date with a straightening iron. The tiny, terrible terror dragon. Since these Vikings are in difficult circumstances, they probably don't like wasted effort, so I can't see them going out of their way to make this series of chains and pulleys, just for laughs.
Yeah.
Toothless falling from the sky during training. When Hiccup becomes dismounted during flight, Toothless somehow forgets entirely how to fly or steer himself. How did he just forget his entire life of flying? And yet later, when Toothless wants to scare Astrid, he suddenly goes rogue and pulls off a barrel roll and can maneuver around pillars and cliffs without any mistakes, and in spite of Hiccup trying to steer him.
I'm clearly not the one in control!
It's concerning that a community full of dragon slayers wouldn't notice an actual dragon flying high above and around their island. Is that dragon on the right carrying a polar bear? How far did he have to go to get that? So far, we've only seen green islands in the middle of the ocean, unless they're near that island from Lost.
It's a polar bear.
The monstrous nightmare didn't cause smoking from around the doors before coming out, like the two-headed dragon did, even though its whole body can catch on fire. These Viking ship sails look like they got their color scheme from kids' blocks. How did Stoic expect Toothless to show him the way to the dragon nest when he's all chained up? But somehow Toothless is showing them the way. Oh wait, there's only one way to go. Also, Toothless was looking in several directions each time we see his face, but somehow Stoic is still able to interpret it and locates the dragon nest anyway.
Blinken, what are you doing up there?
Guessing?
The name of this movie is How to Train Your Dragon. The story took pains to show us that it takes weeks to train a dragon. You have to learn its habits, figure out equipment, and train with specific techniques before you can confidently fly together. At least, if you're Hiccup. For everyone else, it took about 5 minutes. And they could fly bareback, even after these specific dragons have been incarcerated and bullied for who knows how long. Huge plot hole for this particular movie, with this particular title. Maybe it should be called How to Train Your Dragon. Let the weenie do all the hard work first. Lucky for the Vikings that this particular mountainside was thinly concealing a tunnel entrance. Otherwise, they would have been chucking rocks for a very long time.
I threw a rock at him!
Also, why did they reckon stirring up the nest was such a good way to start an ambush?
I was only trying to protect you.
Right.
Which he did do at the arena, but after the saving, he was so angry that he said,
You're not one of us. You're not my son.
and basically disowned him. What would their relationship have been like if Hiccup hadn't later swooped in to save the day? If things had gone differently, and Stoic had somehow led the Vikings to victory against the dragons, Hiccup probably would have been disowned and outcast. So I don't really believe Stoic's line here.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Tamed dragons suspiciously matched to their humans. Twins for the twins, and the chunky dragon with...
Never mind. You big bag of wool.
What about the food supply problems? Dragons helping to rebuild the town is one thing, but they still gotta eat something. What happens when they start eating the livestock again? Nods of approval. Good choice for the Stoic actor. Got the voice and the look. Stoic running into various appliances in the blacksmith shop because of his horned helmet.
It's not so much what you look like, it's what's inside of you he can't stand.
Hooray!
Have you got to stop all of this? You just gestured to all of me.
No more that. This.
You just gestured to all of me.
Whoa!
Putting holes in the wings was a great strategy. The wings started shredding so it couldn't stop its freefall.
Oh, yeah!
Plagiarific. Titanic. Jack and Rose at the bow with her arms out to the sides. Aladdin. Magic carpet ride.
You gonna take everyone on for a magical ride?
This Dragon King bears a resemblance to the one from Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. One horn on the nose, overly large torso, wings that don't look big enough to support flight, but I think the D&D one was definitely more entertaining. Moral of the story? Disobey Dad, do the exact opposite of what he tells you, prove him and your community wrong, and you'll be loved and rewarded once they see how wrong they were. This sounds strangely familiar. Let's see. Disobey Dad, do the exact opposite of what he tells you, prove him and your community wrong, and you'll be loved and rewarded once they see how wrong they were. Yep, they got you to watch The Little Mermaid again, and you were none the wiser.
I see what you did there.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.